a magician who fuses sleight of hand with modern technology to create a new form of spectacular magic.
We'll be joined by eye magician Jamie Allen.
Jamie Allen? Jamie Allen?
What?
He is Jamie Allen. He's the eye magician. And here he is.
But today, he literally just flew in from the UK. Welcome back, eye magician Jamie Allen.
Harry Houdini meets the 21st century. Magician Jamie Allen is coming to Chicago, premiering Eye Magician, his stage show that will bewilder and amaze you beyond belief.
Please welcome Jamie Allen.
All the way from the UK, magician Jamie Allen.
Our next guest combines cutting-edge technology with magic. So please welcome eye magician Jamie Allen from the UK.
Mixing technology with magic, Jamie Allen has performed for millions of people all over the world.
Yeah, if you saw our show several times before, we consider him a friend of the show.
Jamie Allen returns as wild entertainers. England's number one TV illusionist, one of the world's leading illusionists. Jamie Allen.
Please welcome the eye magician Jamie Allen. Big applause for Jamie Allen.
Direct from Las Vegas, Jamie Allen. Technology meets magic. Eye magician.
Thank you very much, everybody. Welcome to my show. My name is Jamie Allen, if you didn't piece that together for yourselves just yet. And I should tell you, Jamie Allen, it's not my real name, it's just my stage name. My real name is Butch Stardust. So nice to meet you all. And I'm a magician, and I do a lot of magic with technology. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of this phrase, 3D printing. And that's kind of a new technology, and I've come up with a slightly cheaper way to do it, and it's a bit quicker as well. So we're going to kick off tonight with a little bit of art. Please watch. Thank you very much. And a proper welcome. And a proper welcome to you all, everybody. My name is Jamie, and I've brought some great magic to share with you tonight. Some things you will never have seen before in your lives. This is my promise to you. I'm going to show you some magic tonight you've never seen. I create most of my own tricks, most of them, so I'll share with you tonight some new experiences. I'm going to show you some classic magic that with a bit of a twist, but you will be kind of familiar with. I'm also going to show you some sleight of hand and also some magic with technology, as I mentioned. Now, don't worry if the word technology scares any of you. It's going to be really plain sailing. I'll explain everything as we're going along. It will be fun, I promise you that much. And I know you've been staring at this stage for like 25 minutes, half an hour or so, and you've probably seen all this rig over here at the side, which contains a live video camera. And we're going to kick off tonight with a piece of magic which I created like 20 years ago when I was booked to perform for a magician's convention. You know, they have these things, and I normally hate performing for magicians because they're like the worst audience. And I think that's mostly because they know how most of the tricks are done, so they're not very easily impressed. So I came up with this originally just to impress magicians. They like it because it has some sleight of hand, which they appreciate, but also there are two moments in this that really fry magicians. Now, I wouldn't expect you to necessarily notice them, but keep your eye out, because if you could watch this through the eyes of a magician, there's two little things that they just can't seem to explain, so I always do it just for them. But to most of you, it will appear to be like a card trick, but a little bit different. Is this combines a little bit of display technology along with sleight of hand something like that, you're not entirely sure exactly what it is you're watching. Because you see all those graphics that are appearing, all the suits and stuff, and it will cause some of you to question if it's live or not, if it's some kind of pre-recorded video. It is live. Now, all the graphics you can see, they're being projected from this little laser video projector that we have just here onto the table. So it is live, but still, it can cause you to doubt it. And this is the problem with magic, you know, people never trust it. I mean, be honest now and look at me. Now, do I look like a con man? Okay. It's a slight difference for thinking about this, but that's okay. But ask yourself this, you know, what is my job, really? You know, if you had to describe to somebody or put into a sentence what a magician does, in just one sentence, what would you say? Now, I've tried this. I've asked a lot of people this question in my life, and they tend to say a similar answer. Most tell me something like, they fool you, something like that. Now, although that is kind of partially true, it's really not what being a magician is all about. You know, how it works does not matter. But that said, tonight will be an audience divided. There will be around about half of you that are all the dreamers. And by the dreamers, I mean all the people that just watch magic, just so that you can enjoy it. You know? And you're my favourites. All the people that can just watch it like a child, because that's really the job of a magician, to remember what you were like when you were a child and try and reconnect you with that feeling. So you're the dreamers and you're having the most fun. The other half of you are all the skeptics. All the people that are sat out there in the dark thinking, I will pay attention, now I will figure all of this stuff out. You know, I know that you're all out there, and I wish you good luck. But please know this, I promise you magic is better if you just let it take you. How it works is usually quite boring. And that's the truth of it, honestly. So I want to show you something which I'm going to dedicate to all the skeptics in the room, because you can relax while I do this, because you know how it works. Everybody, you will understand how I'm doing this, but that will make it no less magical, because it uses technology, and display technology, which is very magical, and also a technology that we all take fairly for granted right now. I'm going to show you something with iPads, 4 Apple iPads. And this was a routine that I created like 9 years ago now, whenever it was the iPads came out, I bought them and I came up with this routine. I was the first magician to do magic with iPads, and as a result, this thing propelled my career, and it suddenly meant I was on TV all the time, and I owe a lot to it, so I like to include it in my show because it's kind of the reason that we're all here today. And this isn't really magic, but it is very, very magical. And this is all about the 4 seasons, and I call it digital art. Please watch. magic trick. This is something you can show your friends when you get back home. You don't need any magic props, so try this, okay? Put your hands out like that. Put your hands like this. And then turn them back to back like that, so your thumbs are down, okay? Then you take your right hand up, over your left, and then down like this, so you can link your fingers the other way around. Thumbs pointing down, everybody. Keep the position, and copy me, okay? Keep position, and you copy me. You go. Did it work? No? Never mind. In my kind of line of work, you always hear two terms banded around to describe people like me. Magician, illusionist. Magician, illusionist. People are not too sure of the difference, and I'm here to tell you. If you're interested, I'm more of a magician, because a magician is more sleight of hand. You know, more coins and cards, that kind of thing. And an illusionist is a lot more money. It's the only, in my career, it's the only difference I can tell. But when you hear that term, like illusion, in a magic show, some of you will think of some sort of big contraption, you know, that somebody may climb inside and disappear. But an illusion is just something which looks like it's happening when it isn't, which I'm going to demonstrate to you with these couple of sheets of newspaper here, and nothing else. Now I call this illusion, because I created this version. It's very good. I call it the illusion of the torn newspaper. And I gave it such an imaginative title because it's an illusion. I never really tear the newspaper, but I practice. See what it looks like I do. But I should demonstrate. Those are the dreamers clapping. However, the skeptics are having none of it. And they all sat there thinking, well, no, he did tear it. But I didn't. I practiced, you see, so it looks like I tear it. But I should do it again. Now you can see, I know, it's great, eh? You can see, look, that the visual, it's so compelling, it's so convincing that it starts to trick all your senses. You know, if you listen, you think you can hear it, you see? I did this show last night, and I was running into people after the show saying that they swear that they can see, you know, the individual pieces of the newspaper. Idiots. Because this entire time, the newspaper is still, for real now, completely undamaged, whole, just as when we started. Thank you very much. You see, because here is the newspaper. You see how this, and that's how it works, yeah? I want to tell you something about magic's history, and a gentleman who lived over 100 years ago today, not Harry Houdini, who's the name that springs to most people's minds. Some of you won't have heard of. His name was T. Nelson Downs. Now, unless you're a student of magic's history, you may never have heard of T. Nelson Downs, but yet he was the world's foremost manipulator of coins. He did tricks with money. And in fact, in those days, he was called the King of Coins, and he was one of the most sought-after acts and one of the highest paid acts in the world. And he literally wrote the book on magic with coins. And the chances are that if you see a magician today doing a trick with a coin, there's a really good possibility that it's based on sleight of hand created by T. Nelson Downs over 100 years ago. Now I have 4 coins here. These are Morgan silver dollars. The reason I'm using these is they're very, very similar to the coins that T. Nelson Downs used in weight and material. They're all silver and they're very heavy. And in a moment I'm going to show you something on the video camera using his sleight of hand. But to provide a little context, Downs would stand on stages far larger than this without any projection technology, and he would show his hands empty and make fists and pour from his hands showers and showers of coins. And when he used to perform, people that wrote about him at the time, they always said that it didn't look like money, it sounded like the money, and they could see the individual coins reflecting. When they would all shower out of his hands, they said that it looked like water pouring from his hands. And when I read that, it gave me the inspiration to create what I'm about to show you, which is not strictly speaking magic. It's more like performance art, but it does use real, honest-to-goodness sleight of hand techniques. In fact, in what you're about to watch, my hands are always live at all times. That's no trick. Every single coin you will see is always really there. It's never superimposed. But everything else that you'll witness is generated in real time using a combination of video mapping, motion tracking, and augmented reality. And I call this the Money River. Fans of real magic, we're going to abandon all of this technology for a moment. I'm going to show you something which is based on just sleight of hand. We are going to use the camera, but none of this projection technology. I want you to be able to see this all very, very clearly. In fact, it's a card trick. When I was a kid, there was never a time that you could find me when I didn't have a deck of cards in my hand. These are bicycle playing cards. Any of you from the United States, I know most of you are, will recognise the brand. If you're from other countries, you ask any of our American friends, they'll tell you about these. This is going to be very, very simple to follow. Okay, we're going to not concentrate on the entire deck. We'll zoom the camera in a little bit. We're going to use just two cards, which I know are on the top of the deck because I put them there, the Ace of Clubs and the Ace of Spades. Now, all we're going to do is take the two aces. This is going to start off very, very easy. Okay, then it's going to get gradually more complicated as we go on. Watch the two aces, the Ace of Spades and the Ace of Clubs face to face. If I give a little rub, see how they change into the red aces? That's not the trick though. That isn't the trick. I promised I was going to show you a trick with the black aces. We'll leave the red aces on the deck. To find the black aces, I just do this. and one of them will turn face up. That's the ace of clubs. Now, to find the ace of spades, it's a little harder. You have to give the deck this kind of running cut, which is also known as an uppercut. It will knock out the ace of spades. So watch the two black aces. Now, the ace of spades, that stays here on the top of the deck. Now, the ace of clubs, that's going to go down here onto the bottom, leaving the ace of spades on the top. And just to recap, the ace of clubs on the bottom of the deck, as we have on the top of the deck, you'll recall the other black ace and the ace of spades. But these are, of course, the red aces, except they're not. Because the red aces stay up here in my hand, and you see these two must have been the black aces all along. You know, I do this in my show, and can you imagine what everybody says to me the next day? This is honest truth. Will you come to the casino with me? That's the standard joke I always get when I'm walking around the ship. And I understand the fascination behind it, because we're always at the back of our mind slightly applauding those diamond thieves and these cheats. The idea that somebody could go into a casino and take the house, even if you're the most honest person in the world, is an appealing thought. And they always ask me if you can really use these kind of techniques to actually cheat. I mean, not at grandma's house, but like in a real casino. And the answer, sadly, is yes. I can. And I'm going to show you how it's possible to rig a game of cards. We're going to treat this as education, okay? So you'll know what to look out for. Now, when they shuffle cards in a casino, they don't hold them in their hands and shuffle. They always shuffle all the cards on the table surface. Why do they do that? Well, because it's deemed that by shuffling the cards and cutting the cards at fingertips on the table, it's the hardest way to cheat, because you're only contacting the deck with the ends of your fingers, so it's harder. So that's how we're going to cheat, in exactly the same technique. Now, we're going to use the four aces for this because, well, one, they're out, so that's just pure laziness, but also these will represent a pretty good hand anywhere in the world. Now, everything I'm about to tell you is the truth. I am not going to track the aces yet. I'm going to put the aces into four different parts of the deck. I genuinely do not know exactly where they are at the moment, nor do I want to know where they are right now, otherwise that would be no fun. And why am I telling you all this? Because it's not a magic trick. These skills are not particularly sleight of hand. They run very close together with the skills of cheat. Now, I'm going to find those aces, but I'm going to do it using casino shuffles. Exactly the same way they would do in the casino, with two halves of the deck woven together. But you've all probably seen something like this in a movie in your life, so I'm going to make it a little bit harder. I'm going to do something that you may not have seen. I'm going to take half of these cards face up and half of the cards face down. But this means as I shuffle the deck, I'm going to end up with a real mess, because I'm going to box the cards face up into face down. We'll turn more of the cards as we keep to cut them, and to shuffle more of those cards face up into face down, and we'll turn all of those cards over, and we'll shuffle those up face up into face down. And all the time I'm doing this, I'm looking for those aces and trying to stack the hand. Now, I think this will be the fourth shuffle. If I do it in four, this will be good. I think I've done it. Okay. Let's think about this a moment. We end up with a mess of face-to-face and back-to-face cards, but I put those aces into four different parts of the deck, and that was for real. And then I shuffled the cards, but I did it face up into face down, always mixing the cards face up into face down, all while looking for those aces. And I think I found them. See, there's the ace of hearts, there's the ace of spades, that's the ace of clubs, that's the ace of diamonds, but that isn't the trick. I promised you that much. You remember at the same time, I also went through the deck and righted them, so the rest of these cards all now face the same way, but that isn't the trick. As I said it was about winning at poker. Well look, I also managed to stack the royal flush in hearts, and the royal flush in spades, and the royal flush in clubs, and the royal flush in diamonds, and that's you know, I'm missing one thing. Since the pandemic started, there's a part of my act that I truly miss, and that's being able to bring people up here onto the stage. We're not quite there yet. We're not doing it just yet, but I do really miss those bits of the show, because it was always my most favourite parts and the most fun, and in some cases the most amazing. But I am going to do a trick which involves a few of you. And to do this, to set it up, we're going to need a little prediction. Now, this means I'm going to have to do a little bit of housekeeping here, so let me just put this camera on while I tidy away all my junk, because I have one more deck, but this isn't a pack of cards, it's not even a card trick. In fact, these are blank playing cards. These are cards kind of before they've been printed, except I have put some printing on some of the cards in this deck. Now, I don't want to show you too much just yet because it will spoil all of that fun, but it's very important that you notice these cards will stay here the whole time. Now, this is a live camera shot, okay? I'm telling you the truth right now. This is the only time I will do it during the evening. It's a live camera shot. I will give $5,000 to anybody that can show this camera is in any way rigged. It's a live shot. If you're in the balcony, you will probably be able to see this happen with your own eyes, so you'll see it on the table. So one thing, it's a live shot. Number two, I will never take the deck away from the camera shot. It will always stay in your vision. Now, I was going to have somebody pick a card, but I just said I can't do that, so I've come up with an ingenious way to do it. If we can have some house lights a moment, we're going to work our way across the theatre. So let's start here in the middle. This little guy here, hi. I'm going to ask you to tell me what colour the card is going to be tonight. So you've got a choice of black or red. Now, before you say anything, whichever colour you pick, that's the one we're going to use. I'm not going to use any of this funny magician's language and say, okay, well, we're going to eliminate that one then, or try and get you to say it. So you can think in your head, black, red, and tell me any one. Red. Okay, it's going to be a red card. So let's go across to somewhere nearer the centre here. Hello. Hi. This red card we're going to use, would you like it to be a heart or a diamond? Definitely a heart. Okay, so there we go. It's going to be a heart, and let's go across again. This guy here. We've got a heart. Would you like the heart to be a picture card or a number card? A number card. Okay, that's good. There's 10 to choose from. So we've got 1 through 10. Let's come over here. Hi. We've got 1 through 10. Could you tell me which number you would like it to be? A 10. Okay, very good. Are you sure, yeah? Are you all happy with those choices? Now, it's fair to say that if any one of you had made a different choice, we'd now be talking about a different card. I would like everybody, and I promise not to embarrass you here, if you helped me just then, would you just stand up just for a moment, just so that everybody can see where you are? And just face the back, because I want everybody to see that these people look honest. Okay, thank you very much. And genuinely, we didn't come down, I didn't speak to any of you, I haven't met any of you before the show, we haven't arranged any of it, and there's no way I could have known. If any of you had said a different choice, we'd now be talking about a different card. And tonight, the card is the 10 of hearts. Red, hearts, pictures, and the 10. The 10 of hearts. I'm going to try and find all of your card, the 10 of hearts. We're going to do this in a very, very unusual way on this live camera shot. Please watch this very carefully. That's a good trick. Do you know, magic is the oldest profession in the world. Almost. And if you look it up, that's actually true. It dates back almost as far as time will tell us. And it's always been the tradition that when a great magician would retire, they would hand down all of their knowledge just to one student. I was taught by a master. His name was Martin Noble, and it was one of my life's greatest pleasures to be taken on as his student. He'd written many books, and in England he was quite well known, certainly amongst all the magicians. And he was the legendary student of somebody called John Ramsay, who is a mythical figure in the world of magic. And John Ramsay was also a coin magician and a card magician, and both of them were stage manipulators, meaning they did stuff like T-Ups and downs. And he taught me all about stage magic from when I was 8. It's always been the tradition, you see, that things are handed just down from master to student. Sure, you can learn a lot from books, and these days the internet, of course, but the real secrets are always handed down that way, or the techniques. I'd like to show you something which it's not possible to learn from books, because it's such a delicate touch. It has to be taught to you in person. And this is something that was taught to me for years by my teacher. And when he retired, he gifted me this. And it's from his act. And it was taught to him by his teacher, from John Ramsay. It's from his act. So this thing dates back well over 100 years. And the thing that I love about it is there are no gimmicks or any kind of gadgets. You know, this is all just simply the result of practice, and it's the closest thing I can show you to kind of real magic, because it's just magic in its absolute purest form, which is sleight of hand. This is only 3 minutes long. This has taken me pretty much my entire life to learn, and nothing up the sleeves. Please watch again. show business. I come from a show business family, not magicians. I'm the only magician. My mom was a singer. Her name was Kay Kennedy. And my dad had a very successful group in the 1960s called Second City Sound. And I grew up pushing flight cases around, and I did my first ever show when I was just 8 years old. You'll see that I haven't changed a bit. And I always grew up touring around with them. As a kid, life on the road, and I loved it. We always used to go to hot countries when it was cold in England. It was always a tradition of theirs that as soon as the weather would close in, they would look for a booking that was somewhere hot, and we spent many, many winter seasons in places like the Bahamas, in America, in Dubai, and it was great. It's such a tradition that I've obviously carried on since then. And when I was 5, I had to go to school, so my parents made this difficult decision. They would settle down and they would give me some kind of a normal life. So they did the only thing that they were capable of, and they bought a pub. And in this pub, they built a tiny little theatre, and it seated about 150 people. And it was there when I was 5 that I saw the magician that changed my life. This magician took somebody from the audience and he balanced them on the back of these 2 chairs, and then he took the chairs away and the person stayed suspended in the air. It was amazing. And I said to my dad, like, how could that be possible? I'd never seen anything like it. And my dad, rather than giving me this stock dad answer, which is of course, well, it's magic, Jamie, my dad told me how the trick was done. Now that might seem slightly cruel to some of you, but it wasn't, because I was so fascinated by the gadgetry. And that Christmas I got a magic set, all my dreams came true, and as I say, I did my first show when I was 8. My dad used to help me build all of my props, because he was a bit of a magician, not on stage, but he used to be able to do a few tricks. He understood how they were all done, because he'd spent his whole career working backstage with some of the greatest. He was also an engineer, so he helped me construct all of these props. My mum was a seamstress. She used to build the costumes for the band, so she'd make me all my little suits. I'm an only child, so we had a great connection, the 3 of us. It was a real group. And we came back one time, around this kind of time of year, from somewhere hot. It was cold in England, and we were building something in the garage. The doors were open, it was getting dark, the floodlights were on outside, and it began to snow. No big deal, because this is not uncommon in the UK at this time of year, but it was for me, because I spent all my life going into hot places. I'd never seen it, and I stood outside with my mum and dad, and it was honestly, now I look back at these memories that you can vividly see, I think it was like the first time I saw real magic. And it's definitely like some of the happiest times of my life when I was young. And it's also when I learned never to grow up. My dad used to say to me, I was always desperate to get older so I could go out and perform, and he said, these are the best times of your life right now, you just don't realise it now. And now I look back, he was absolutely right. My parents were tremendously supportive of me, and I couldn't have done it without them, and I'm sure this is the same for most of you who have children. You'd give anything, and equally I wanted to make them proud, and I did. I mean, I was performing and I was doing my show. Unfortunately, they passed away reasonably young, and as a result, they never actually got to see all of the stuff that they'd helped me build. They never got to see me having my own TV shows, they never got to see me in Las Vegas and performing all over the world. And those sort of things, you know, I really miss them from that point of view. And I like to keep this next piece of magic in my show, even though it's kind of an old trick for me now, but I always keep it in for them, and more importantly, I put this in the show always,